The Quran makes it perfectly clear that Jesus did not die on the cross, but instead somebody else took his place. The question is, where did the Quran come up with this argument? Did it actually originate from the mind of Allah, or did it come from somewhere else? I want to read you the pertinent text, and then I will explain where the Quran actually got this from. In Surah chapter 4, verse 157, it says, "As for their saying, indeed we have killed the Messiah, Jesus the son of Mary, the messenger of Allah, and they did not kill him, nor did they crucify him, but another," pay attention to that, "another was made to resemble him to them. And indeed those who differ over it are in doubt about it. They have no knowledge of it except the following of an assumption, and they did not kill him for certain." So, like I said, where in the world does the Quran get this idea from? Does it originate from Allah, or does it come from somewhere else? It actually comes from a 2nd century Gnostic teacher known as Basilides. Now, I'm going to explain briefly what Gnosticism is. And this is according to the Pocket Dictionary of Theological Terms on page 56. It says, "Gnostics believed that their students had gained a special kind of spiritual enlightenment through which they had attained a secret knowledge or higher level of knowledge, not accessible to those who are uninitiated. Gnostics also tended to emphasize the spiritual realm over the material, often claiming that they had the material realm as evil and they had to escape it." So what it's saying here is that the Gnostics, they had secret knowledge, they had special knowledge, and they had this idea that the physical realm was bad and they had to escape their body at all cost. Now, with regards to where in the world the Quran gets the idea that somebody else was crucified instead of Jesus, that actually comes from, like I said, Basilides, and we get this his teaching in Irenaeus in his book Against Heresies in Book 1, Chapter 24, Section 4. It says, "Whereupon he did not himself suffer death," this is speaking of Jesus, "but Simon, a certain man of Cyrene, being compelled, bore the cross in his stead, so that this latter being transfigured by him, that he might be thought to be Jesus, was crucified, though ignorance and error, while Jesus himself received the form of Simon, and standing by laughed at them." So here it's saying, according to the teachings of Basilides, that Simon of Cyrene was transformed into Jesus, and Jesus stood by the cross laughing. I want to continue on, but it says, "For since he was an incorporeal power and mind of the unborn Father, he transfigured himself as he pleased, and thus ascended to him who had sent him." This is, once again, this even goes along with what the Quran is saying in verse 158, where Allah took Jesus to himself. But I want to continue on. It says, "Deriding them insomuch as they could not be laid a hold of, and was invisible to all those then who knew these things, have been freed from the principalities who formed from a man, and was thought to be crucified." Notice it says that he was thought to be crucified, but he was not. "And was called Jesus, and was sent by the Father, that by the dispensation he might destroy the works of the makers of the world. If anyone, therefore," he declares, confesses the crucified, that man is still a slave and under the power of those who formed our bodies, but he who denies him has been freed from these beings and is acquainted with the dispensation of the unborn Father." So once again, it's just going on and showing that the Quran actually stole this, took it from a 2nd century Gnostic source. So once again, what does this show us? It shows us that the Quran is actually not from the mind of God, but it is from the mind of man.